Hello, welcome. Thanks for coming by. Today we're going to take a look at a sport that was one of the first sports I covered when I started this little show of mine, and that is Australian Rules Football. And the video we're taking a look at is titled Mason Cox Don't Believe in Never from YouTube channel Collingwood Football Club. And this is a video that a lot of people requested after I did my other AFL videos. They said, take a look at Mason Cox. He's an American playing here. And I was unaware that there was an American playing there. I'm wondering if he is, still the only American to play in the AFL. I know there's a lot of AFL players who are playing in college football over here and professional football over here. I don't know if it's gone the other direction. We'll see. I recently got an AFL football. I think it's the correct regulation size, but it's not inflated correctly at the moment, so it's probably a little smaller than it should be. It's interesting. I just got it because I wanted to get a feel for what it felt like, and it's similar to an American football. The ends are a little less pointed, and it might be thicker, I think. But it's in the same ballpark. So this is fun. So if you like the video, you can subscribe or comment or like. Those would be appreciated. And with my ball in hand, let's take a look at Mason Cox. Don't believe in never.
When Mason came to us, no American player had ever played a senior game of AFL footy. It's a one in whatever you want to call it, because no one had ever done it.
Mason Cox, redshirt senior from Island Village, Texas. He's only played 6 minutes all year.
I went to Oklahoma State University, so I started out playing basketball when I was a freshman. I'd never picked up a basketball in my life, really. We played at the rec center, and there was a GA at the women's team, and she asked, would you be interested in helping out? Pretty much
6'11", and he never played basketball in his life. And I think he meant, because he said the rec center, maybe just like intramural basketball.
the dream team, and they played against the women's team and practiced other teams played against them. I was kind of like, yeah, cool, like what do I get out of it? And she goes, oh, we'll give you a free pair of shoes and maybe some kit. And I was like, sweet. The men's team saw me.
That is, he has, am I wrong when I say he's kind of has a Australian accent now? It seems like it to me. Definitely not a Texas accent. And he used the word kit, which as far as I know, in the U.S. it's not a common word. I never used the word kit for what he meant it as, like probably shoes and other stuff. So that's a giveaway. He's kind of an Australian vibe now.
Training with the women's team, and one of the coaches said, who's that massive dude who's playing with the women's team? Like, why don't we have someone like that? I was in.
He went from the women's team practice team to the men's team. That's pretty unusual.
They wanted me to go to LA to try out for this thing called AFL, Aussie Rules Football, and we both looked at each other and was, what the hell is that? And it comes up and it's like AFL's biggest hits. I would just kind of look at him and laughing and going, is this really a sport? Well, I'd already accepted a six-figure paying job at ExxonMobil, so I went to the tryouts. Everyone that was there was interested in myself. It became pretty serious pretty quickly. That week, I threw the cap in the air, I got the degree on stage, made my parents proud. A week later, I flew to Australia and my life changed. The whole concept of me coming to Australia was just to give me a showcase of what AFL was. Saw my first AFL game, sat next to a North Melbourne player. He explained.
I wonder if he was the only American from that camp that got invited over there, or not. I don't know.
That's 6 points. That's a point. Hits the post, it's worth a point. They point the opposite direction whenever they really mean that way. And at the end of it, I remember he goes, okay, cool. So these are the teams that are interested in you. Here's the contracts.
Looks like a pretty good. That looks like a pretty good kick form-wise for a guy who's 6'11", and probably never really kicked much earlier in his life.
Let me know what you think.
The international rookie's a whopping 211 centimetres, the same height as Aaron Sandilands. Looks quite exciting.
I remember getting on the plane, I thought, what have I just done? I've just given up 5 years of hard work and thousands of dollars of education to go play a sport I've never heard of in a place I've never been, with no friends or no family in Melbourne. I stuck a footy in my hand. I thought it was pretty much rugby ball. Like, I had no idea. The kangaroo skin and a Sharon is like the name of it, and I don't know. Like, it was all so foreign to me when I first started.
His kicking was quite average.
It was a crash course, essentially, of just what AFL was. Craig McRae and Anthony Rocker spent 2.5 months with me, and come around training the first day, it was sink or swim, really. We do this one drill, and you get a handball off to the coach, and of course, Bucks is the one who you're handballing to. Go to handball to him.
And I just remember looking at it, I looked back and going, okay, we've got a bit of work to do here.
I like locked eyes for a second, and I could just see in my mind, just, what have we recruited?
Players generally had a lot going on, but Mason's still trying to work out this new game, whether he fits, if he fits. Am I embarrassing myself?
But
You know, that's interesting, because there's been a lot of guys from Aussie Rules Football coming to the U.S. and playing American football, and a lot of them have been, you know, kickers. So they're coming here from Australia with the ability to kick really well, and they're coming from a sport that's physical, that they're used to physical. This guy's he said he didn't really play anything until he was in college, and he's 6'11", and he doesn't have any of the skills. He's coming from the U.S. without any of the skills of, you know, kicking, and also the physical aspect of the game he'd never been used to. I mean, if you go the other way from Australia to the U.S., you're used to the physical aspect, you're a kicker, you have a lot of the skills that, you know, you already have the skills. This is a tough thing, you know. This is tough to go to AFL with having virtually none of the required skills.
at the end of the year, I got to the point where I was thinking, I might actually feel comfortable in an AFL game. Bucks was the first one to tell me. They came out and said, look, you're going to debut. And that week was a massive week. It's Anzac Day, obviously, and it's one of the biggest games of the year.
The crowd's 90,000 plus. The stadium is massive. It just leans over the top of it. So that's challenging enough.
I walked out there and I was ready to puke. I was that nervous. I was freaking out, you know. I didn't know what to do. And I was thinking, don't screw up. Just whatever you do, don't screw up. Don't screw up.
More low trajectory kick. Oh, this could be a fairy tale.
Oh, mate, he's shitting himself. And I can't imagine what it's like to try and drop the ball that extra foot and a half to get it onto your foot.
My hands would have been like this, holding that ball.
Mason Cox. And he rides it home. What a beauty.
I wonder how was he viewed by the fans there? Were they? I mean, I know there's not 100% one way or the other, but for the most part, were the fans there like excited to see a player from another country come in and play, or were they thinking this is an Australian game and we're kind of hoping he would fail? And was he the first one to try? I don't know. They seem to be clapping.
That didn't happen.
Not that we needed to keep him grounded, but it was our job to keep him grounded.
Stands at the MCG to steady this wobbling ring.
It's bloody hard. It's a big step from the VFL footy that he was playing to playing AFL footy.
At the end of 17, was playing VFL, I'd gotten dropped a few times, we were playing small.
He had to set himself a new goal of being one of the best forwards in the competition.
Saturday night football.
So he made his first kick, but kind of took a downturn after that. Oh, man.
This was just off the ball.
I had the worst game of my
It's an
career. I
elbow.
could probably say that pretty comfortably. I don't think I had a single mark the whole game, and had maybe 6 touches or something, and get suspended for the next week. Probably a low moment in my life, I'd say, of thinking, did I choose the right decision?
Look at this. Cox has been left alone. He plays on. He's gone. He's gone. Whatever Mason Cox can do as a permanent.
I don't know enough to know what the proper play would have been for him there, but it doesn't look like that was it.
Forward, I suspect Ben Reid can do better.
I said, you know what? This is a last-ditch effort to show them what you're worth, to show them you can do this as a job. This is your career that you want to do for the rest of your life.
What a beast this Tiger has become on and off the field. 22 consecutive wins at the MCG. It's hard to get your head around it, to be honest.
We'd played Richmond twice and been overrun twice.
22
through the year.
consecutive
Which
wins.
could be
That's
the
a
biggest
lot.
game if
That's a
Mason
lot.
Cox never gets a kick in.
Prelim final MCG.
That looks so great. I'm so used to looking at stadiums and seeing the rectangular American football field. To see that circle is a whole different look.
Matt Stevie holds the ball aloft. Richmond take on Collingwood.
It happened pretty early.
Soccer off the ground, straight into the waiting arms of Trelaw. Cox is the biggest man there.
It was in. It was clunk, clunk, clunk.
Cox again.
Oh man, I don't want to rewind because I'm not sure how to get it back. But it looked like that. When you're that tall and you go and you jump and you're extended, it looked like he was catching that ball at nearly the height the guys do when they do the speckies. I mean, 6'11" with a lot of reach and jump. That's pretty high up there.
His hands are on, mate. They just stuck.
Sets it up. Cox again. I cannot believe it.
You've got to go back to Billy Graham at the MCG for an American to dominate like this. Can he guide it through?
He looks pretty confident all of a sudden.
Three of the very best. A 211-centimetre Texan has just torn the MCG apart in the sport and dug in a preliminary final.
Wow.
Could you have
Contested.
pictured that 5 years earlier with the guy that handballed over the top of my head? Definitely not.
And Collingwood will go into the 2018 grand final. A famous victory on the back of this man here.
97-58. Pretty one-sided, I think.
People setting limitations on others. I think if you're motivated enough and you care enough, or that determined to get to wherever you want to go, it's possible.
You can't write the script any better. Well, you could have. We could have won the grand final. Imagine that story.
Wow, that was interesting. You know, towards the end there, they had a shot of him shooting a jump shot, and he looked so good, you know, just form-wise. So he wasn't just some random 6'11" guy who got, you know, who did this because he's tall. I mean, he's obviously athletic. If he's been able to adapt to this game, the physicality of this game, and learned how to kick, that's cool. I don't know. He said one of the coaches said 4 years earlier or something, he put the ball over his head and he's come a long way. I don't really know the timeline. Is he? This didn't really explain if he's become. I guess he's become a legitimate player. Is he one of the better players at his position, or has he been? I'm not sure exactly how old this video is. Has he been accepted by the league, or I mean, it seems like it might be a big deal for someone out of Australia to come in and play. But it's interesting. It seems to me, to my ear, he has that Australian accent a little bit. I don't know how that works. If you go to another country, do you develop the accent? I've never lived in a country long enough, other than here, to know. So I don't. You know, what do I say? I don't really know. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. No, I was trying to do a British accent, but it just sounded like not good. Anyway, tell me how he is doing now, if you can. Is he still playing? Did he develop into a good player, or even, you know, for his position, a very good player? It's a fascinating story. I'm going to have to read a little bit more about it. But yeah, it's a lot to learn going to that game. Anyway, that was cool. If you liked the video, you can subscribe. I would appreciate it. And talk to you later.